These are the only 6 makeup products you're gonna need to create the most flawless look. I'm gonna really simplify this for you. So we're going to be working with specific products that I feel are the only 6 products you need if you want to keep a very simple routine that's easy to do and you want a very uncomplicated situation when it comes to your makeup. I know I hear from a lot of you who are like, you know what, I just want a really simple routine, and that's why I put this together, because I know that there are so many different products that I love and I know that it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, so I really wanted to just keep it straightforward for you today. Starting with the first product, we're going to be using a concealer that I actually feel works so well as a foundation as well, and it's literally it's just the perfect hybrid product. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. The shade I'm going to use today is Natural Beige. Now, what I would say is when you are using a concealer as your foundation, you want to get something which is quite creamy, not too thick, and doesn't self-set too quickly. So the Tarte Shape Tape is out the question. It's just going to be way too thick. Everything's going to look way too cakey. So something that you can create a sheer coverage with, but something that is also buildable and doesn't set too quick, so that it allows you that time to just blend and create the perfect base. And I feel like this ticks every box. It's such an amazing concealer. It's been one of my favorites for many years, and I love the fact that you get a whole load in there too. Now, when you are working with a concealer as your foundation, you do want to make sure that you go for a shade which is very close to your skin color. I know usually a lot of us tend to go a little bit lighter with our concealer because we want that brightness on the under eyes. I would suggest using a concealer which is quite close to your skin color if you're going to be using it as a foundation too. So I love the fact that it has a big applicator too, because it works perfectly as a foundation. What I'm going to be doing is applying this on certain areas, which is going to really help you to get the most out of it, but without it looking cakey on your skin. Because let's be honest, that's the first worry we have when it comes to using a concealer as a foundation, like all over, is it going to look cakey? And that's what I really want to show you today, that it doesn't have to look that way. So what we're going to be doing is applying this along the center and then working our way out, because most of the time we actually need more coverage along the center and less on the perimeter of the face. So what you want to do is focus on spreading it out towards the outside part of the face, but not having to apply a whole load here. If you can keep the makeup, like your base, very minimal along the perimeter, like close to your hairline, it's going to look less mask-like. So let's get started. We're going to apply just a few dots down the center of the face and just on the sides of the nose. Apply less to begin with because you can always add more later. Now I'm using a fluff brush. This is my BK Beauty 106 brush. You can use my discount code in my description, which gives you 10% off any purchases from BK Beauty. So can you see we are spreading this out towards the side? We're kind of like pressing and flicking. You want to focus on the center first, and then once you've blended that, you actually want to end up going towards the edge of the face, so like just along the perimeter. So whatever's left on the brush is being taken towards the sides. Can you see now we've got that really nice flawless forehead? Now let's go ahead down the nose area. And then here we are gonna just take this out this way. Now whatever's left on the brush, I'm taking this along the side of the face. Already we can see that this is just given us great coverage. We don't actually need foundation, so you can create this look with only concealer. But it really is about picking the right concealer. Now we're going to take this down the jawline to make sure there's no line. Even though we haven't focused on the under eye area, you can already see how this has given us a bit more coverage, and you can see obviously the dark circle and the redness that I have is a lot more visible on this side. You really want to focus on kind of pressing or bouncing, whatever you want to call it, and then you gradually drag the product out whatever's left on the brush. So we've got a really nice clean base now, but you can obviously see the redness and the dark circles, so we want to get rid of that. I'm just going to do a couple of small dots here. We're going to use a smaller brush now. I'm going to use my ILIA complexion brush. Now this is where I'm just going to press, just buff this concealer into my lids. Don't forget to go along this area here because that's quite a common area to get darkness. You can already see we've just got rid of that darkness and that redness there. But now we want to really get rid of this under eye area so that we can't see that kind of hollowness or that darkness there. So this is where I'm just going to add a very small amount here and then just here to give us a little bit of a lift. Now this is where I'm going to use my beauty blender. I personally prefer to use this on the under eye area because I feel like you get a much more seamless finish with no brush strokes. And we're just bouncing the sponge over the under eye area and then taking it up here towards the temples for a little bit of a lift. And you can build up with more product if you want. You want to make sure you keep the sponge in the same area, like don't start moving into other areas because you don't actually need more coverage in other areas. Well, unless you do. So I'm really happy with the coverage I have. All I want to do now is get rid of these creases on my lid so that I can dust some powder on top so that I can really set this area. I've got a small fluff brush. I'm going to go into my setting powder, which currently is my Huda Beauty Easy Bake, and just press on top. Now before I set anywhere else, I do want to add a few more products just to create the best possible base. So this is my second product. I'm going to be using my bronzer. So this is a liquid bronzer. I'm using my Makeup by Mario SoftSculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. This is in the shade medium. I've got a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm using the F4 brush from Makeup by Mario. We're going to use the smaller side. You want to buff the bronzer into the brush before it buffs into your skin. That way you're not getting a whole load of product on the skin. Now this is where we want to shape the face. So I'm just going to add a little bit along here to just enhance my cheekbones. I want to go along the perimeter of my face just to add more dimension. I'm also going to go underneath the jawline just to give myself a bit more of a jawline. So you start from the top of the ear and you're slowly pressing towards the upper lip. Can you see how straight away we've got just more shape there? It's actually really crazy how this completely changes the way your base looks. So we're going to go underneath the jawline here. And there you go. So now we've got more dimension on the face. It doesn't look so flat. And I feel like it's brought out the cheekbones a little bit more. Now the third product we're going to be using is my blush. I'm going to be using my RHODE Pocket Blush, my new favorite. I absolutely love this, and this specific color is my favorite. It's Freckle. I'm going to use a stipple brush to blend this in. I'm using my Hourglass 15 brush. So I'm adding a little bit of blush just to add some color to my base. So we're just going to take this brush on top of this blush. And then I want to apply it around here. If I ever feel like I have a bit too much on the blush, as soon as I've pressed, I go over to the other side to just spread it out. It really is a quick blush, isn't it? I just feel like immediately you get that color, but it's just such a nice kind of diffused color. So I want to set this base, but before I do that, I want to get rid of any creases. So I'm going to use my sponge and just lift off any of the creasing that has developed on my under eye area. It is so important to prime your powder puff before you apply your powder. Now let me show you what that means. You're going to get your powder puff. I'm using the Laura Mercier one. I like to kind of squeeze it together to manipulate the shape. I'm going to press it into my powder, which is my Huda Beauty Easy Bake. Now the problem is I've got a whole load of powder here. In order to prime it, you want to get it into the palm of your hand. You want to just swirl it around. When you apply your powder to your face, you shouldn't be left with a whole load of powder everywhere. It should be very fine and even. Just press this in, and can you see that even though it does look like there's a little bit of lightness there, it's not a whole load of powder or chunky. So we're going to go ahead and take the rest from the palm of the hand, and we're just going to press this over. We're going to do the same along here. I like to apply it here just to lift the area. And then whatever's left on the sponge, press it into the rest of the face. I hear a lot of people leaving their powder on for ages. Honestly, you don't need to. Once you've pressed it in, you can dust it off immediately. That way you're not going to get that kind of heavy cakey look. So you want to get a brush that's big and you just want to dust off all of the product. Get a smaller brush and just dust off the powder from the smaller areas. And there you go, we've got a flawless base using only concealer. Okay, so now that we've used the powder, which was our fourth product, by the way, we can move on to the brows. Now, this is where I'm gonna be using my Charlotte Tilbury Brow Cheat. Honestly, you're fine with one product. I know you see me using multiple products on different areas, but that's because I am a bit privileged when it comes to makeup. I have a lot to try, and also I want to be able to share as many products as possible with you so that you guys can take your pick. But ultimately, you do really, if you want to keep it simple, you only need one product. So I would suggest the Charlotte Tilbury Brow Cheat. I just feel like it's thin enough to be able to get that kind of like nice hair stroke, but it's also thick enough to be able to get that real nice kind of depth there as well. And I feel like it lasts really well on the brows. I am just going to do my brows right now, and I'm only going to be using this because, like I said, you've probably seen me use several different products. You can just stick to the one. Now, because I like the beginning part of my brow to be quite, well, just not as dark, I'm pressing very lightly, not too heavy, or not too heavy-handed, should I say. And then as I get to this bit here, I can kind of darken it a little bit because I've got sparse areas there. Okay, so you can see we've got that really nice brow. I'm happy with that. I don't need to actually add anything else. We're going to do the same on this side. So just going lightly at the front. Okay, so brows are done. It's honestly as simple as that. Now, next step is my eyes, and a mascara is sometimes all you need. Now, in terms of a makeup product, the mascara is the one thing that I would suggest that you should, like, is an essential when it comes to eye makeup, because it's just not going to be the same thing if you apply eyeshadow but you haven't got mascara. Whereas with mascara, there's so much that you can actually do. You must have heard of sometimes, like, when makeup artists forget things. You learn how to improvise with what you have. Ultimately, what this is kind of like a gel eyeliner inside that dries really quick. Now, the brush is what really makes it, as well as the formula, but this can be used as an eyeliner too. All you need to do is get a little bit on the back of your hand, smudge it into your lash line with your finger, and you've got a little bit of a smoky eye. It's really as simple as that. But I do want to recommend using a lash curler before. This isn't a makeup product, it is a tool, the same way I've been using different brushes. So I wouldn't class this as part of the 6 products, but I do like to make sure that my lashes are curled before I even think about applying my mascara, because it makes a huge difference. But I think I will soon do a video for you which is all about the makeup tools that you need, and go through all the brushes with you too. This mascara is my Hourglass Unlocked, my favorite mascara at the moment. It's just so good. It's just a very easy mascara. You really don't need to work hard at trying to create amazing lashes. Always look down into the mirror when you're doing your mascara. Look, I'm going to be honest, even with looking down, you can sometimes get mascara on your lid, but it definitely does reduce the chances of getting a whole load of mascara on your lid. Just going to add a little bit on my lower lashes. It's pretty crazy that you can create this whole look with just 6 products. And like I said, you could actually create a few different types of looks with these 6 products. And I'm going to actually tell you that in a second, because I think it's pretty interesting. So obviously I said you can use your mascara as a kind of like smoky eye as well, which is really, really easy to do. But the other thing you can do is use your bronzer, the liquid bronzer, as a smoky eye as well. So you can use a little bit of that over the lid to really kind of give you that bronzed, kind of like slight sheen, bronzy, smoky eye. And then you could also use your blush stick, which we used on the face, on your lid as well as a separate eye look, which gives you like a wash of color on the lid. It's so insane how many different things you can do with this. So I don't want you to think that these kind of 6 products are only used for one look. There's so much you can do with it. Now, what do you do when it gets to the lips? Now, this is where I would use my blush, and that's why you want to get a nice blush that can be used on your cheeks and your lips. I am going to get my RHODE Pocket Blush. Look at that. The most amazing color, and that's my lip color done. Now, a quick little trick, because we haven't added a lip liner into this. Put a tiny bit of that liquid blush on the back of your hand. You want to get a small fluff brush. This is my Refa 13 brush. So swirl it around into that bronzer. Apply it beneath your lip line here and above your lip line there. And if you don't have lip liner, that actually works really well to plump up your lip, so it kind of like reduces the need for lip liner as much. You could also kind of like go along the actual lip line, and that will darken it a little bit. That was just a very quick hack for you, like a bonus hack in there for you. So there's a reason why I've chosen all of these products, because I feel like they are so easy to use, but you can use them in so many different ways as well. And plus I love the fact that even the bronzer and the blush, it's not so heavily pigmented that it's going to kind of like complicate things. Sometimes when products are so pigmented, it can be a bit more headache more than anything else, because you're like, okay, this is just way too pigmented. There's more blending required. and it can be a bit too much. So sometimes you want the products that aren't necessarily so overly pigmented and they have a bit more of a sheer transparent finish, because it's easier to build up than it is to reduce the amount of product you've applied. So these are the products I would recommend. They honestly work amazing, and as you can see for yourself, I mean, look at the type of look that you can create. It's a flawless base and it's a really simple, easy daytime look. But as I said, use them in different ways. Use the bronzer on the eyes, use the blush on the eyes, use the mascara as a kind of like smoky lash line. It's so easy to do. Don't forget, I do have an online publication called The Beauty Breakfast Club, which is an online beauty community, which basically is an online publication as well. So you get newsletters sent to you every week, 3 a week, all covering beauty. So it could be product reviews, it could be makeup hacks, tips, trending products, a bit of everything. And there are 2 versions of subscription. So one is free, which gives you access to most of the site, and the other is paid, which means you only pay the equivalent to getting yourself a coffee a month, and you get access to the entire site, including a chat room for me and you. And yeah, I'd love to see you there as part of our beauty community, because it is growing and I love it over there. I also have another YouTube channel, which is kind of mix of blogs, but primarily my podcast, which I host with my husband, all about real talk. It's relatable, marriage stuff, bit of everything, trending stuff. I think you're gonna like it there too. So if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.